ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. I'm waiting now for YouTube to catch up with us to make sure we're on the air. That's the only thing I'm waiting for now, is to make sure that YouTube is caught up with us to make sure we're on the air. YouTube is not working very fast. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to wait until we get a couple people here in the chat to make sure we're on the air here. I can see by my monitor that we are on the air. Demon Catman is here, Dennis is here, Richard is here, Juanito is here. Thank you guys for being here. Can I get someone to give me a 5x5 here to make sure? There we go, Demon Catman and Richard came by with that 5x5. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. Ring of Light Crafts is here. Juanito, yes, thank you guys. We really appreciate all of you here today. Folks, I have a lot to talk about tonight, as normal. Does everybody know who I'm talking about when I give you the name Hunter Biden? Does everybody know who I'm talking about? This man right here. This is Hunter Biden, for those people that don't know who I'm talking about. I want to talk mainly about Hunter Biden for the next few minutes. And you might ask why. Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's son. Hunter Biden got convicted of 3 felony federal gun charges today. He got nailed. He got nailed in a big way. Now, folks, normally I don't even like to talk about this. Normally I don't like to talk about this. But quite honestly, we need to address it. Hunter Biden was convicted of 3 federal charges today. They stem from a case before Joe Biden was even in the presidency of the United States. It was during Joe Biden's time as vice president, when his son was trying to buy a gun illegally. Hunter Biden had tried to buy the gun, but the problem being he had an issue. He had very much an issue. That issue stemmed from him lying about his drug use. Lying about his drug use. Again, this is Hunter Biden right here. Hunter Biden lied about his drug use. And he tried to buy a gun. He tried to buy a revolver. Okay? I'm just laying it out. He tried to buy a revolver, and in doing so, he's up to his ears in a lot of trouble. I want to tell you what happened in federal court today. A federal jury has convicted Hunter Biden on all 3 federal gun charges that he went to court about. Okay? 3 federal felony gun charges. He violated federal laws that were meant to prevent drug addicts from obtaining a firearm. Now, if this had happened to me, and I'm going about a devil's advocate right now. If this had been me, I would have already been in jail. 3 federal felony gun charges. I would have already been in jail over this. But because he was the son of the President of the United States, he was not arrested as of yet. He was brought before a federal grand jury and later a jury of his peers. The conviction marks the first time a president's immediate family has been convicted of a crime during their father's term in office, though his crimes were before his father was president. The jury deliberated just under 3 hours and returned with a felony conviction on all 3 charges that stemmed from Hunter Biden purchasing a revolver bought years ago. The charges, the first 2 counts, were lying about his drug use on a federal background check. Okay? That's what the first 2 counts were about, was him lying about his drug use on a federal background check. The 3rd count was for possessing a gun while addicted or using drugs. The judge said sentencing is usually set for 120 days after the original court case. Hunter Biden could face up to 125 years in a federal penitentiary, a prison, and a fine of up to $750,000. What he probably will receive is far less because he allegedly is a first-time offender. Hunter Biden, following the verdict, said he was more grateful for the love and support of his family than he was disappointed by the outcome of the court case. His attorneys said that they would continue to vigorously pursue all legal challenges available. In other words, Hunter Biden's attorneys are going to file an appeal in this court case. Now, Joe Biden, the President of the United States, in a statement after the verdict was read, the President reiterated his role as a father, seeking to support his son after the conviction. Quote, "As I said last week, I am the president, but I am also a dad. Jill, Hunter's mother, and I both love our son, and we are so proud of the man he is today." Interesting. My own father would not say that if I had faced these same convictions. David Weiss, who is a special counsel that brought the charges up against Hunter Biden, he said the case was not just about addiction, but about the choices Hunter Biden made while he was using illegal drugs, which are against the law, and he believed he was above the law. Even the president's son. Weiss also thanked the jury, the prosecutors, and the U.S. Attorney General. Inside the deliberation room, when the deliberations first began on Monday afternoon, the jury was split. According to one juror, after discussing the elements of each crime, in order to be convicted or a charge brought against you, the police must have elements of the crime. And each and every element has to be there, or there's no crime committed. The jury, on the same token, has to go through every element of the crime in order to return a unanimous verdict, which they did today. The jurors said 3 jurors who spoke on condition of anonymity believed they had no choice to find Hunter Biden guilty. But one juror said that the case seemed like a waste of taxpayer money. One juror told the news media, "I really don't think Hunter belongs in prison. But we focus mainly on the evidence, not Hunter Biden's lifestyle." They said that they did not come up with a verdict by anything other than the evidence. The man said the jurors felt bad that Naomi Biden, Hunter Biden's daughter, had been called to testify against her father. That juror said, in his opinion, it was a mistake to put Hunter Biden's daughter on the witness stand. Interesting. After Hunter Biden left the courthouse, Joe Biden went to Delaware and hugged his son after he arrived. I understand that. I totally understand where a father would want to hug his son. But again, if it had been me or anyone else, we would have already been in jail. These were 3 federal felonies. Federal major crimes. A felony is a major crime. A misdemeanor is a minor crime. Hunter Biden was convicted of 3 major felony counts against him. Hours after the jury found Hunter guilty of all 3 federal felonies, that he violated laws meant to prevent drug addicts from obtaining a firearm. The plane carrying President Biden arrived in Delaware, and President Biden deplaned and walked across the tarmac to greet his son and hug his son. Now, what does everybody else think? I've told you what I believe. I believe he was, 1, guilty. Number 2, he ought to already be in jail. He ought already to be in jail. The sentencing will not happen for 120 days. That is after the election, meaning Hunter Biden will campaign for his father. Okay? The justice system worked. In this case, the justice system worked. But my personal opinion is he ought already to be in jail. Okay? President Trump, convicted of 34 felonies, is not in jail. That is because it was politically motivated. That is because President Trump's crimes were politically motivated. I am dead sure of that. Okay? Now, do you guys have any questions about what I've talked about so far? This was a big deal. This is a major, major story in the news media today. Okay? I want to make sure that we give it its righteous due, because if I did not talk about it, I don't believe that I would be doing justice to Biden or anybody else. Like I said, in my own personal opinion, if I had done this or any of you had done it, we would already be in jail. Don Patoka, welcome to the EMA program tonight. We appreciate you being here, and we hope you're doing well. Don is in here in the chat, says Daddy will just pardon him. So there you go. Yes, that is possible, that Biden will just pardon him. Right now, according to Joe Biden, there are no plans of pardoning his son. Now, with that said, if he pardons his son, then he has to pardon President Trump. Because President Trump's charges of 34 crimes, 34 felonies, are all politically oriented. NCWQ Explorer here, Becky asked, can his daddy pardon him? Yes, he could. Yes, he could. Now, that's a good question, Becky. That's a very good question for all of us to think about. What could Biden do? More than likely, on Biden's way out of the presidency, Biden could pardon his son. Yes, his son could go to a federal penitentiary before Christmas. But on his way out of office, or possibly even before Christmas, Biden could pardon his son. Okay? That could happen. But again, President Trump was also convicted of 34 felonies. But all of his crimes were politically motivated, and I can prove it. Biden would probably also have to pardon President Trump. That's just my opinion. Any more questions about this? Any more questions? This is good. Becky's also asking if he wants voters, he will pardon Trump on the good looks. Yeah, on Trump's good looks. That's possibly true. That's possibly true. We appreciate all of those who are in our program today in the chat. If you are already not subscribed to our program, please subscribe to our program. We'd appreciate that. 25% of our viewers that watch this program or listen to this program are not subscribers. We talk about earthquakes. We talk about emergency preparedness. We talk about hurricanes, tornadoes. We talk about cyclones. We talk about all kinds of storms, straight line winds, winter storms. We talk about just about every kind of emergency and disaster that could possibly happen. We talk about it all the time. Now, Mert Ugarlu is asking, what about the Turkey earthquake? Well, folks, let me show you something. I want to show you something. You ask about the Turkey earthquake. Let me show you right now what's going on earthquake-wise around the world. USGS is not even showing us all the earthquakes. If you look at a USGS map, they're showing us some 5.0s and 5.3s around the world. Yes, they're also showing us some 4.5s and 4.7 moderate earthquakes. And they're calling those 4.5s and 4.7 moderate earthquakes, they're calling them light earthquakes. And that's a terrible thing to say. When we have a 4.0 to a 4.9 earthquake, there is nothing light about that earthquake. Those are earthquakes that can cause moderate damage. Those are earthquakes, no matter where they happen, they can cause moderate damage. A light earthquake does not cause moderate damage. A light earthquake would be a small earthquake shaking underneath your feet, or something that might rattle your dishes on your table, or knock a book or knickknack off a shelf. Okay? That would be a small earthquake, a 3.0 to 3.9 earthquake. A 4.0 to 4.9 earthquake are called moderate earthquakes. They can't be called anything else, even though the agencies have now labeled those earthquakes as light earthquakes. There's nothing light about those earthquakes at all. Nothing. I made that point before and I'm making it again. There's nothing light about a moderate earthquake. Okay? Plain and simple. Now, let's go over here to Turkey and show you what happened in Turkey today. Okay? This is over in eastern Turkey. Now, when we talk about the earthquakes in eastern Turkey, right here, this area here, this is eastern Turkey and the border with Syria. This is eastern Turkey here with the border of Syria. There are about 40 earthquakes in this area today. The EMSC, who puts out this map here of earthquakes, has 20 plus earthquakes here. You can already see quite a few earthquakes here. Okay, there are already 5 earthquakes here in the south part of the Turkey-Syria border region. Okay, let's go up here and show you these other earthquakes. I just enlarged the map. I enlarged the map because the map here shows more earthquakes. And it still shows 20 plus earthquakes. I enlarged the map and it brought out 7 more earthquakes right here. It still has the 20 plus earthquakes here and the 5 earthquakes up here to the north. Or actually 6 earthquakes up here to the north. Look at this. Now there's another 24 earthquakes here. Altogether, there are over 40 earthquakes here in the Syria-Turkey border region here. 40 plus earthquakes here in the Syria-Turkey border region. Why? Why did these earthquakes happen today? These are all aftershocks of a much larger earthquake over a year and a half ago. A year ago, this past January, this area had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. A major 9.0 to 10.0 earthquake here. The reason I'm saying a 9 to 10.0 earthquake here is because when that earthquake struck, we have plenty of evidence that said that the USGS was calling it a 7.8 earthquake. It was not a 7.8 earthquake. It was a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Over 5,000 people were killed, and over 5,000 people were injured. And every time we get any kind of substantial quake, and by substantial quake, I'm talking about anything over a 3.0. A 3.0 and larger can be felt. And when these poor people feel the ground shaking, they become very disturbed, as you would as well if you lived in this area, and saw and felt the earthquake here shake like it did, and killed your family, and killed your friends, and injured other people to a point they are still receiving medical care today. Over a year and a half later, the ground is still shaking. These are called aftershocks. These are all called aftershocks. And the ground is still shaking over there in eastern Turkey. Okay? Up to the north. Northern Turkey. We have a 2.5 minor earthquake up here. We go further to the west. Okay? Look at all these earthquakes in western Turkey. There are over 40 earthquakes here in western Turkey, and the ground is still shaking. Look at that. Over 40 earthquakes here in western Turkey. We only know that because of all these earthquakes here, that there's going to be another larger earthquake. When we get swarms of earthquakes like this only means that the ground is shaking here and there's going to be a much larger earthquake. That's what this means. Sometime into the future, and I'm saying, in my opinion, maybe no more than 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to see a 5.0 to a 7.0 earthquake hit here in western Turkey. It's going to happen. Every time we've seen swarms of earthquakes like this, it happens. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It happens every time. It happens every time. Okay. Demon Catman says you don't get a full rupture. You don't get a full rupture and not have problems. You don't get a full plate rupture from a 7. And that's very much deception. A full plate rupture is a 9.0 to a 10.0 earthquake. And if you think about that, let's go back over here to the map. If you think about that, there is a large earthquake fault here. There is a very large earthquake fault here. And that's why this earthquake hit. It hit along the Anatolian earthquake fault. It's a major earthquake fault that stretches from here and it goes down around Cyprus here, down around Cyprus, and heads over south of Greece. South of Greece. Like right there. It goes south of Crete, Greece here. And it continues to go south of the Greek mainland here. This is mainland Greece here. And it continues south. It continues south over here to Italy. And that's one of the reasons we're still seeing a lot of earthquakes today in Italy. It's shaking. It's definitely shaking. We have quite a few earthquakes down here in southern Italy. We have even more earthquakes up here in central Italy. Folks, one of the things that we need to think about are all these earthquakes here. There's a reason central Italy is shaking. Anytime we get earthquakes like we're having now, we see a much larger earthquake coming. Anytime we see swarms like we're seeing over in Turkey and over here in central Italy, it means there's a larger earthquake coming. And it's not just that. Okay? Many of you have read articles or seen news people talk about Naples, Italy. There is a major volcano there. Capi Flegrei. That area is shaking. And it's rightfully so. Rightfully so. 1.1, 1.5, 2.5 minor earthquakes, 3.5. 3.5 are small earthquakes. The town council, just like our town councils here in the United States and in many other towns and cities around the world, the town councils have already made plans for emergency evacuations of Naples, Italy, and the surrounding area. That's because they've seen so many earthquakes in and around the Naples area. Now, I've done an extensive study, and I've come up with some interesting ideas of what's going on there. Right now, I'm not willing to put out that information because right now I don't think it's time or the place to do that. We will put out a special program about that. Mert Ugurlu says she is scared. There is no reason to be scared right now. I don't believe there's any reason to be scared. Mert, what part of the world do you live in? Please come up here in the chat and tell me what part of the world you live in. Okay? I don't believe there's any reason to be scared right now. Don Patokas here in the chat said, be concerned, not scared. Keep your head on a swivel. Know what to do and how to react. You need to react with a plan. You need to have a plan to react to whatever situation you're put in front of. Whatever situation, whether it be an earthquake, whether it be a tornado, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be a winter storm, flooding, rain, fire. You need to have a plan for any kind of emergency that's going to present itself. Without a plan, you're just living in fear because you don't have any way to react to it. You don't have any ideas on what you're going to do. If you have a plan, you're not going to fear. I've always been telling people for the past 5.5 years we've been on the air, write down a plan. And I can probably count on 2 hands the number of people that have ever written a plan. I can almost bet that I can count on the hand of my 2 hands how many people have an earthquake or any kind of emergency plan. Okay? Now, I've shown you my plans here before. I have a book here up on my bookshelf. It's about this thick. It is detailed on emergency plans that I have written for me and my family. Mert says, the problem is our government does not care about all of this. You're right. The government doesn't care. That's even more why I'm saying you need to have a plan for yourself. Don Patoka and various other people that have been here in the chat with me over the past 5.5 years have also said, you need to have a plan. Because if the government comes a knocking, don't open the door. Don't even listen to the government. They have nothing good to say. Regardless of whether they come a knocking, they probably won't. Number 1, the government does not have the kind of money to be able to hire the people to go out and knock on a door after an emergency has happened. I know of about 6 people that work for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They go out after a disaster has happened and they knock on doors in the area. Number 1, they want to make sure that people have the things that they need. Number 2, they go and knock on the doors to see what other things that they may need and come up with a plan to help people. But there's only a handful of people that do that. There's only a handful of people that do that. I don't believe the government has any intention on helping much more than anybody else. I don't think so. Okay? I've been part of a disaster team. I have been to more disaster drills than I can think about. I have been in 39 states conducting emergency preparedness fairs, doing disaster talks on what people need to do to save themselves, and doing disaster drills. I've been doing it. I have worked with first responders of all kinds, sheriff's offices, police departments, fire departments, medical personnel, and the National Guard. The National Guard, by the way, is one of the finest and most prepared organizations there is. In every case where we've done a disaster drill anywhere around the United States, the National Guard has been there, and they know what to do. They know what to do, and they bring the resources out to do it. Now, folks, let me tell you something. In order to get the National Guard on site after an emergency has happened, several things must happen. Number 1, The mayor and or a government official in that area that was hit by the disaster or emergency has to call the governor. They have to call the governor and ask the governor for an emergency declaration. The mayor or the government official in that specific area has to declare an emergency in that area himself. Then he has to call the governor and get the governor to also declare that area a state emergency area. Then the governor has to call the President of the United States to declare it a federal emergency disaster area. Then and only then can we get other agencies from throughout the federal government to respond to the emergency situation. The governor can put the National Guard on site. That's all it takes. But in order to get the resources of the federal government on site, the president must approve it, meaning FEMA. FEMA cannot lift a hand unless the President of the United States declares it an emergency. Then the other resources can be the ATF. The ATF is not looking for guns. They're not looking for BOMBS. The agencies of the federal government could include the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms and explosives. The DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. No, they are not looking for drugs. They are federal law enforcement meant to help out the other law enforcement agencies in the area. That's all they're there for. Homeland Security. Now you might think, why have Homeland Security there? I'm not talking about Border Patrol. What I am talking about are Federal Protective Service. The Federal Protective Service are federal officers assigned to various areas around the United States and most major cities. Those Federal Protective Service agents, those federal police officers, are then sent out to other areas besides in the major cities to help out local agencies, local police officers in that area during a disaster or an emergency situation. Those are first responders. We're also talking about first responders from the federal government to help fight fires, to help medical personnel. There are federal firefighters. There are federal medical personnel that can also respond to disasters, as well as the National Guard or other military resources like helicopters, planes, and other aircraft that could be brought in to render assistance during any kind of emergency. All those agencies can converge on a federal disaster area to help out. But again, a local government official has to declare an emergency, has to contact the governor, and the governor must contact the President of the United States. Then the other agencies can come out, but not until then. The National Guard will respond to an emergency situation within a 4-hour time period. The National Guard will always respond to an emergency situation declared so by the governor of any state. They will respond to an emergency situation within a 4-hour time period. That is their plan. That is their plan. I have worked with a number of National Guard agencies around this country. I know that to be a fact. I've talked to high-ranking officials from within the National Guard, including a general. I've actually talked to a National Guard general. I've talked to National Guard personnel from what they call JITEC, which is a government agency that supervises National Guard personnel throughout the country. I've been part of that. I know exactly what their memorandum of understanding is with all the governments around the United States. Okay? Don Patoka just said something very important that I want to repeat. He's here in the chat and said something important. The government is reactive. The government, the state and the federal government is reactive. And even your local governments are reactive. They are not proactive. The local governments might be proactive to a certain extent, but the state and the federal government are not reactive. They are reactive but not proactive. Okay? They're not planning for individual emergencies in your individual areas. They're just not doing that. Okay? Each and every one of us must be responsible for our own situation. Okay? The government is supposed to be responsible for the defense of the whole state and the whole country. For the immediate individual, you being the immediate individual, you need to be responsible for yourself. Nobody else can help you. Nobody else can help you. Only you alone will bear responsibility for yourself and your family. You and you alone will bear responsibility for yourself and family. I'm just telling you. I've been there, done that. Laura Marie is out in her vegetable garden in Oregon. This is great. My dear friend Laura Marie, who I've known for years and years, since we were kids, teenagers. She's in her vegetable garden in Oregon. I can only appreciate what she's doing there. We've talked on this program about the importance of gardens, personal gardens. Why? Just recently, within the last month, there's been another major fire at a chicken producing company in the Midwest. Over 1 million chickens were murdered. Somebody set that fire. Somebody set that fire. I don't care what any government agency said about that fire just happening. You don't kill over 1 million chickens that were being raised. These were supposed to be range chickens, meaning not captive. But over 1 million chickens met their death by fire within the last month. This stinks in more ways than one. Why do I say that? This smacks of the same kind of thing happening 2 and 3 years ago. The government, the federal government here in the United States came up with an emergency and it never happened. They said the bird flu was rampant. It was not. And they forced ranchers and farmers to kill off their flocks. Tens of thousands of chickens, turkeys, cattle, hogs, goats were slaughtered, not for meat. They were killed just for the reason that possible bird flu was coming around this country. I personally, and I'm not going to show you pictures because it's not right to show these pictures. I saw pictures of pigs stacked like on a hill. A hill of pigs killed because the federal government said those pigs might have the bird flu. That was a bunch of crap. Our federal government wanted those animals killed so prices would go through the roof. They wanted to limit the food supply. And again, that's exactly what they're doing. Killing off over 1 million chickens in one night. That's just wrong. This time it was arson. And I don't really care what the federal or state government said. It was arson. Okay? And yes, they were talking about the bird flu prior to the fire. They're still talking about the bird flu. But this time, they're talking about the bird flu spreading to humans. And they're talking about everyone, they're trying to require everyone now to get a bird flu vaccine. Don't do it. It's a bunch of crap. Okay? They said, oh, the bird flu could spread to humans. Now they're talking about a bird flu vaccine for men and women and kids. It's a bunch of crap. Folks, if you want to believe what the government says, I've got some swampland in Arizona for very cheap. Okay? It's crap. Don't be believing all the crap that's out there. I don't care if the news media, CNN, I don't care whether it's Fox News, I don't care whether it's MSNBC, I don't care whether it's NBC, CBS, or ABC. I don't care who it is. Don't believe everything you hear. It's crap. Incredible. Don't believe everything that you hear. And don't even believe half of the things you see. My personal opinion. Diane Kelman's here in the chat saying they all lie. You're absolutely right. They lie, and there's a reason for their lying. They're trying to line all of us up for something bad. Okay? They're trying to line us up for something bad. There has been talk of the government forcing us into camps. There's now a list of over 200 or 300 people. Most of these people are within the agencies, what they call non-governmental agencies that have talked crap or talked smack about the government. I'm talking about the news broadcasters. I'm talking about people like Tucker Carlson. I'm talking about that wonderful FBI agent over on Rumble, Dan Bongino. I'm talking about people like Glenn Beck. All these people that have talked smack about the government. And not just talking smack, but coming up with actual data about what the government has done. The government has already come up with a huge list of people that they want to arrest. Okay? That came out last week. Okay? That could also include people like myself on alternative media. Because I've also come out and talked real smack with evidence of what's going on. I'm trying to give all of you ideas on how you can save yourselves. I'm trying to give you things to think about. I'm trying to give you enough data that you can prepare yourselves for what's happening. And the closer and closer we get to the election, things are going to only get worse. I promise you that. Things are only going to get worse. And my even mentioning twice now that V word. My mentioning that V word on the air right now could have this program taken off the air and me knocked off the air for up to a week. Or they can take me down permanently. In that case, I'll go to Rumble. Rumble does not have the government breathing down their neck like YouTube is. Okay? Folks, I'm trying to give you information to save your lives and save the lives of your families. That's what I'm good at. I work as an emergency manager. I've been working as an emergency manager since the 1990s. Okay? Back when I was a police officer, I was also an emergency manager for my department, giving police officers and members of my department emergency information on how they can react to things that were going on out on our specific beats. Okay, I always was doing that. I was giving information out to the public as well. They don't like me, and I don't give a flying rat's butt. I just don't care. The only people I care about are all of you. You are the people I care about. That's it. I care about my family, my extended family. I care about all of you. I want you to have the information you need to have to combat what's going on. Okay? I monitor many podcasts from other people that give righteous information out. I monitor podcasts from different agencies, making sure I have the latest information for all of you, because all of you don't have access to the same information I have. Okay? I do that for a reason. Okay? Jerry Rossi is talking here in the chat about everything goes down for a few weeks, an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. That electromagnetic pulse could be caused by a solar flare, a coronal mass ejection. That EMP could be caused by a dirty bomb. That EMP could be caused by a nuclear device launched from a rogue country. Over the air, above the earth that we walk on, probably 2 to 3 miles high. The dirty bomb could be detonated from a plane in the air. And where it would be detonated, it would cause an EMP to go out and take that whole area back to the 1800s. To take that entire area, including our entire country or other areas of the world, back into the 1800s. No electricity, no cars, no farm machinery, no nothing. And the radiation killing off our crops, killing off our animals. True story. We talked about that before too. I'm giving you information to use. That's why I keep talking about emergency preparedness. And a lot of people, when I talk about emergency preparedness, don't even allow me to do it. They won't even come near this broadcast on Fridays. Sometimes on Fridays, we get as few as 700 people watching this broadcast, when during the week, we get to have upwards of 3,000 to 5,000 people watching this broadcast. Yesterday, for example, I had nearly 1,800 people that watched this broadcast. Today, I had upwards of 2,500 people that watched last night's broadcast. Went from 1,700 people, just over 1,700 people, to 2,400 people. That's huge. That's huge. Folks, I want to be able to tell everybody what's going on. That's why we're here. That is exactly why we're here. I want to make sure that you know what's happening. You and your family. We are trying to save lives here. We are trying to save lives. Now, I came here tonight ready to talk about earthquakes on the East Coast. Earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. There are earthquakes, both on the East Coast and the new Madrid fault, that you guys need to see, that you guys need to be aware of. Now, I can talk about earthquakes all night long, but I don't want to do that. The only thing I'm going to show you is where the major amount of activity is. Why? Because, guys, I want to show you what's happening. As I have explained, let me go to the map again. I want to show you what's happening. I want to show you exactly what's happening. Out here in the mid-Atlantic Ocean, way down south here, this is called the Mid-Atlantic Fault. This great big huge fault zone running from the deep south part of the Atlantic Ocean. The Mid-Atlantic Fault runs right up the center of the Atlantic Ocean. From way down south, right between South America and Africa here. It continues north. It goes between Africa and the United States. Between Africa and the United States. It continues north. Okay? Up here, this is Great Britain. Great Britain. We have earthquakes all the way down here, guys. Spain and Portugal area. The Azores. Okay? Let's go north. We also have earthquakes over here in Scandinavia. Norway, Sweden, over here in Finland. Today, we also have earthquakes over here in Iceland. Just north of Iceland. We have a 2.0 off the North Icelandic coast. But this is the European agency. They're also not telling us about earthquakes on Iceland itself. 1.5s, 2.0s, and even 3.0 earthquakes here in Iceland. I spoke to Professor Thorvaldsson from the Icelandic University in Reykjavik, Iceland. He told me a lot of stuff going on. Now, just briefly, I want to tell you what's going on over in Iceland. I've been keeping a close eye on it, as you know. I've been keeping a close eye on it because hundreds of thousands of people live on Iceland. Like 300,000 people living on Iceland. We have had earthquakes over here in the southern part of the Reykjanes Peninsula. These are where the volcanic eruptions started 2 and 3 years ago. These eruptions have also spread up the entire Reykjanes Peninsula. They continue to spread up the entire Reykjanes Peninsula. I'm pulling the Reykjanes Peninsula down so you can see what I'm talking about. We've had eruptions all the way up here. This last eruption was way up here to the north here. This is not out near Reykjavik itself, the capital of Iceland. This is still further south. Now, the last eruption happened up here. There's a reason. Again, look where this fault zone is. This is the Mid-Atlantic Fault. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding all the way from the South Atlantic Ocean all the way up north to the North Pole. It is expanding like this. The Atlantic Fault is right in the middle of the Atlantic Plate, the Atlantic Ocean. The fault zone is expanding like this. It's pushing Europe and Africa in an easterly direction. It's pushing North America, Greenland, Iceland. It's cutting Iceland in half. As the Mid-Atlantic fault expands, it's going to cut Iceland in half like this. That is one of the reasons we're having earthquakes in Iceland. The other reason the Atlantic plate is expanding like this is because the Earth is moving. Tectonic plate movement. Pretty soon, at some point, I'm not saying anytime within the next few years, but it's still going to happen. Iceland's going to get split in half. What happens when that happens? We've already seen volcanoes erupt over in the Reykjanes Peninsula. That's because this great big huge fault zone is here. As the fault expands to either side, it's allowing magma to come out. It's allowing magma to come out. And magma to erupt. That's what's going on in Iceland. That is exactly what's going on in Iceland. Now, the last time that volcano erupted to the northwest of Grindavik. Grindavik is way down here. Grindavik is a town right here of about 3,000 people. 3,000 people. Our first eruption was way down here. And as a result, the lava, as it erupted, came over here to Grindavik. It also crossed this area here, over to a power plant, a geothermal power plant. It's called Svartsengi. Svartsengi. This is a power plant right here. The lava came over to Grindavik. Now, it came over to this power plant as well. It didn't get inside the power plant, nor did it get inside the Blue Lagoon Spa. Okay? There were two eruptions the first time Grindavik itself was threatened. The first eruption happened out here. That eruption didn't get over here to Grindavik. The second eruption did. The second eruption had lava that crossed over the land here, over here to the outskirts of Grindavik. It burned down 3 homes. The lava came over here to Grindavik and burned down 3 homes. Then the lava stopped. The eruption stopped. What was left was a huge area like this, all the way down here to Grindavik. Huge landmass, a landmass of lava, a huge lava field. Okay? The lava field here was very hot. With lava, we get sulfur dioxide gas and carbon dioxide gas. The lava field is still hot. And it's causing outgassing, meaning that sulfur, or the lava out here, is emitting sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gas from the lava. That carbon dioxide gas is coming out of the lava field, and depending on where the wind blows, it's putting people's lives in danger. We've had many volcanic eruptions over in that area, just west of Grindavik, south of Grindavik, and northwest of Grindavik. Depending on the wind blowing, it would blow the gases over towards Grindavik or other areas, including the Svartsengi power plant. Now, they have since built huge defensive walls around Grindavik here. Huge defensive walls around Grindavik. Some walls are nearly 100 feet high, preventing lava from getting into this town of Grindavik. Grindavik has been pretty much evacuated. they've allowed some people to come back here. Now, the last time we had an eruption, which was further northwest from Greenvik, we still had lava. Even the lava came up here over to the defensive walls. And it went through the defensive walls into Greenvik. It didn't get very far, but it came through the wall. Since then, the walls have been fortified. The walls have been fortified. This happened over on the southwestern part of Greenvik, over here. The entire wall reaches over here to the southwest, the southeast over here, comes over here to the western side of Greenvik and completely stops the lava. Also over here, on the north side of the town, the wall here goes up to 100 feet high. They developed these defensive walls, and for the most part, they've worked. Now, the same kind of defensive wall system has been built around the geothermal facility here, preventing the lava from getting into the geothermal facility. The authorities here that run the geothermal facility have other protections built in too. The authorities don't even have to be here at the facility. They can run the geothermal facility from a remote location. So now they don't have to have people put in danger from any eruption and any outgassing from the lava. They can run this power plant remotely. Now, right here, this is the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is a huge spa where people sit in water that's groundwater that is fed minerals from the volcano. The water is got minerals from the volcano, and as a result, people sit in it, lay in it, and they supposedly get treatment for whatever ails them. A lot of people from around the world come here to the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon Spa has been closed for weeks now. Today, June 11th, the Blue Lagoon opened up again. That's because there's no present threat to this area. If we had another eruption and we had lava flowing out of the volcano, or we had eruptive fissures going on that had fountaining going on up to 100 feet in the air, we would have sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gas being blown by the wind, possibly over here, and they would evacuate the Blue Lagoon again. They have emergency evacuation plans now. They have a bus parked over here to help evacuate people. They may even now have 2 buses, because the last evacuation they had to take several bus loads of people from the Blue Lagoon. So they may have more than just 1 bus here. Okay? So that's the defensive measures. They built a great big huge wall around the power plant and also the Blue Lagoon to help protect those areas. Okay? That's what's going on. We're still going to see Earth movement from the Mid-Atlantic Fault here. It's going to split Iceland in half. Let me move this map out so you can see what I'm talking about. The Mid-Atlantic Fault comes over here through the Reykjanes Peninsula here and goes up all the way through Iceland here and out to the north. That is one of the reasons we had this minor earthquake up here to the north of Iceland. Okay? That's what's happening. We're still getting earthquakes over in Greenland. We're still getting earthquakes on the east coast of North America. Canada and the United States. Canada and the United States. Up here in Canada, This is Islet, MRC, Canada. This is a 0.79 microquake. A 0.79 microquake up here in the northeastern part of Canada. Further south, over here in Georgia, York County, actually not Georgia, but South Carolina. York County, South Carolina. Just northwest of Leslie, South Carolina. We have a minor 2.19 earthquake. Okay? The East Coast is moving because of the Mid-Atlantic Fault here. The East Coast is moving, and the East Coast is going to continue to move. Okay? Now, do you have questions about what I've told you? Do you have any questions about anything I've told you? Frank Aguilar is here, says, hi, the first time listening here, interested in where you're getting your information. I get my information from a variety of sources. My information about the East Coast, the Madrid Fault. This comes from the University of Memphis. The University of Memphis has a seismology department. And the seismograms that I pull from the University of Memphis show earthquakes on the East Coast and also the Madrid Fault. Okay? I get my sources, my earthquake information and other information from a variety of sources all around the world. Okay? But what I'm talking about today, and I just gave you information, it came from the EMSC, showing you those earthquakes over on the East Coast. But that's just the beginning. That is just but a scratch of the whole program. Okay? What I'm telling you is I pull information from the entire East Coast. From New Jersey. New Jersey is still having earthquakes, aftershocks from the original earthquake that happened 2 months ago. New Jersey supposedly had a 4.5 earthquake. Well, guess what? Bedford, New Jersey did not just have a 4.5 earthquake. USGS tried to call it a 4.5 earthquake. It wasn't that. It was a lot stronger than a 4.5. It was 150 times larger than the 4.5. It was a 5.9 magnitude earthquake, nearly a 6.0 very strong earthquake. There was damage there. Nobody physically got hurt, fortunately. But Bedford, New Jersey, and that entire area, even around the Trump golf course, got hit. Got hit big time. There was damage to a variety of places. Property damage all over the place. USGS tried to say it's just a 4.5 light earthquake. They called it a 4.5 light earthquake. As I said before, a 4.0 to 4.9 will never be a light earthquake, regardless of what the agency says. The agency lies through their teeth. The reason they're calling them light, they don't want anyone to realize exactly what's going on. They don't want anyone to realize that somebody could get killed. They've been talking and declaring earthquakes that are just wrong. They've been denying earthquakes have even happened. They've been denying earthquakes have even happened. They even have not published earthquakes at all. We have shown you data from their own machines, from their seismographs, showing you earthquakes, and they're not showing those earthquakes on the map. I showed you earthquakes happening in the Pacific Northwest last night. I showed you data from volcanoes over Northern California, Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta last night. USGS is not saying one word about it. In many cases, they have turned off the seismographs entirely. They turn off the seismographs entirely. They only usually have really one seismograph that's anywhere close to being real. They even destroy information or alter information as well on the seismograms. They may publish seismograms that supposedly show information from the earthquake. But guess what? Even that data has been altered. Many times they scrub major earthquakes off of the seismograph so it's not being seen. And in fact, we have had major earthquakes down in the South Pacific that have been scrubbed from other seismograms up to the north. As you know, other seismograms around the world show the earthquakes 99% of the time. The only time they don't show the earthquakes is when the agency erases the information. And that happens. And it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Over the past 5.5 years, I've seen the agency scrub information and shut down seismographs. Completely and absolutely shut them down. Because I have shown the public the actual data. The more and more that I show here on this program, the more data that's being scrubbed off the seismographs, including what is going on at the volcanoes. As I said last night, Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are getting ready to erupt. Mount Lassen and to a lesser extent Mount Shasta are getting ready to erupt. But heaven forbid that the agencies are showing the data. As I showed last night, they have scrubbed the data or falsified the data. I showed you seismograms yesterday where they falsified the data. I showed you the seismograms where they scrubbed the data off and put up false information. That's what these agencies do, and yet that's what our tax money is going for. Having the agency take the data off or completely destroy it. Don Kelman is here in the chat saying that is wrong for them to do. I agree, but that's what they're doing. And we may have people, and some of you have also asked, why are they doing it? Why? Because they don't want anybody to know what's happening. Let's take, for instance, the West Coast. From California to the Pacific Northwest, including southwestern Canada. They don't want us to see what's happening because people would leave there. People would leave those communities that's near the coast of Vancouver, Washington, Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, Tacoma area, Portland, Oregon, Medford, Oregon, the northern coast of California. Heaven forbid we tell the truth, or they tell the truth. I tell the truth. They don't want that information to get out because if the people knew what was actually going on, they would leave those areas. Why? To save their lives. To save their lives. Diane Kelman says they need to be audited by an independent agency. What independent agency except moi? I am the only YouTuber that's actually putting up the information. We've had another gentleman that was putting up earthquake information, but he was not showing the actual data. I'm showing you the actual data so you will know exactly what's happening, because the agency will not tell you. They don't want to be honest because the people leave. The politicians are telling the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network up in the northwestern part of the U.S., they're telling those agencies not to publish the information. Don't let it get out. USGS is not putting it out on the map because the people would leave. If the people left, what would happen? What would happen? What would happen? Let me tell you, for instance, and this has happened already. Some people are leaving. Once they find out what's actually going on, they leave those towns. If the towns reduce their populations, or, for example, if an entire town dissolved, that would be the worst case scenario for a town. But let's take this for instance. If the entire town found out what's going on. For example, there is a shoreline town up in Washington. That entire town was visited by Marfugel just about 2.5 years ago. He visited that area. He spoke with residents. He spoke with the fire department. He spoke with the police and sheriff's office there. Guess what? None of them knew the information that's going on. Marfugel picks up information off my program, and he talks about it. He told those people in that town what was going on. Those people, those authorities in the town, did not even know anything about it. They knew nothing about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake that's going to happen. Sometime within the next 5 to 10 years, and I think 10 years at the very least, sometime within the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a major incident. A major incident. Meaning a major earthquake. A very major earthquake. What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? When that earthquake happens, guys, when that major earthquake happens, people are going to get hurt. People will get hurt. People will get killed. Anybody that's living there that doesn't know what's going on have no chance of surviving. That earthquake is going to be to the tune of a 9.0 to a 10.0 earthquake, just like we've seen over in the Turkey-Syria border region, or what we've seen 3 years ago down in Antarctica, where another 9.0 earthquake hit in Antarctica. USGS denied it happened. But there was a crew from the Air Force that flew a plane over Antarctica and found a 14-mile-long fissure in the ice. A 14-mile-long fissure in the ice. Then the USGS could not deny it anymore. Guess who talked about it when it first happened? Me. I was the only agency, the only person that was talking about it. USGS denied it. A couple months later, they could no longer deny it, and they had to admit it happened. That's what this agency does. The politicians are telling the agencies not to talk about it. Why? Because people will move out of the area. The people leave. What happens when the people leave? There's no one to pay the phone bills. There's no one to pay the electric bills. No one to make sure that the traffic lights stay lit. Nobody to repair the roads. Nobody to offer services in the town, and as a result, the town would dry up. If the town dries up, the politicians will be out of a job. If the people leave, the politicians will be out of a job. That's why the politicians are telling the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network to not let the information get out. That's why they are altering the seismograms, and I can prove it. I have proved it for 5.5 years now. I have proven it. Yes, Carr, there is a Vancouver, Washington. That's why I said it. There's a Vancouver, British Columbia, over on the southwest coast of British Columbia, Canada. But there's also Vancouver, Washington. The entire west coast of North America. And I'm even telling you this. We told you the other day that the earthquake was going to happen off the coast of Seattle-Tacoma area, between the Cascadia subduction zone and the Juan de Fuca Fault, just off the west coast of North America. That's where the 9.0, 10.0 Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to happen. But what else is going to happen? That earthquake is going to be felt all the way north into Alaska. The northern part of Alaska is also going to feel the aftershocks and the major earthquake of 9.0, 10.0. There's going to be massive destruction all along the west coast of North America, including Alaska. Not to be outdone. That 9.0, 10.0 earthquake is going to shake Canada. It's going to shake Washington and Oregon, and down to Northern California and as far south as San Diego and or Mexico, northern Mexico. How's that? As I have explained to you, I've shown you this many times. Let me bring up the map again to show you what I'm talking about. I want to definitely show you what's happening. That way there's no doubt in anybody's mind what is going to happen. Again, the earthquake is going to happen way up here to the north. Way up here. Just off the coast of Vancouver, Canada, and Washington State here, where Seattle-Tacoma is here. This is the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. This waterway between Vancouver Island and the state of Washington is the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The earthquake is going to happen right here. The earthquake is going to take that energy all the way up here to Alaska. It's going to take that energy all the way up here to Alaska. Okay? It's going to take that energy all the way south as well. This is Northern California. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake fault is right here, and it covers from Queen Charlotte Island to the north over in British Columbia and all the way down here to Northern California. And if that's not enough, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake fault is also going to be jolted over here on the Juan de Fuca Fault. The Juan de Fuca Fault comes down here. Down here we have the Gorda Escarpment. It goes 280 miles out into the Pacific Ocean. Regardless of anything, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to come down here as well. All that energy is going to come down here, as probably down here to the south here in Northern California, as probably a 9.0 earthquake. Up here it's going to register as a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Down here it's probably going to register at least as a 9.0 plus earthquake here in Northern California. But that doesn't end. That doesn't end there. Up here in Northern California, we are met with the Gorda Escarpment here and the San Andreas Fault here. The San Andreas Fault comes from Northern California all the way down through Southern California and into Mexico. Back in 2019, December 23rd, 2019, the resident geologist, the professor of geology and seismology from the University of Oregon, Chris Goldfinger is his name. He met up with a bunch of other scientists and geologists here in San Francisco. At that point in time, at that meeting, he told those people attending that meeting, December 23rd, 2019, that the Cascadia Megathrust Earthquake Fault, the Cascadia Earthquake Fault here, is going to trigger the San Andreas Fault. He said at the time it may, but now it's confirmed it probably will trigger the San Andreas Fault. And as a result, that seismic energy is going to come down from northern Washington and northern Washington, Oregon, and Canada, all the way down here into California. Now, what's it going to do? The San Francisco Bay Area is going to be destroyed by the shaking. We've had 6.7 and 6.9 earthquakes hit here in the San Francisco Bay. The last one that was over here was in 1980, October 1980. It was on the Hayward Fault over here on the east side of San Francisco Bay. This energy is going to come down the San Andreas Fault here and destroy San Francisco. It's going to come down here past Monterey Bay here. This whole area is going to be inundated. As you can see, the San Andreas Fault goes through California here. Okay? It's going to shake the entire state of California. This is Santa Barbara here. The San Andreas Fault's here. This whole area is going to be destroyed as well. And that's not all, folks. There's more. There's a lot more. Okay? We're talking Los Angeles now. We're talking Los Angeles. The San Andreas Fault goes down here on the eastern side of Los Angeles. There are other ancillary faults here in Los Angeles area, and it's going to destroy everything here. It's going to destroy everything here in Los Angeles. And, folks, it goes east of San Diego as well. It goes east of San Diego and comes down here into the Imperial Valley of Southern California. Guess what's there? We've been talking about this quite frequently. This is the Salton Sea. Last week, a week ago yesterday, there was over a 5.0 earthquake right here on the southwestern side of the Salton Sea. USGS did not say one word about it. I found the seismograms to prove it happened. And they even altered the seismograms, not showing the true strength of the earthquake. I can prove that they alter the data. This area is still shaking. You can see the earthquakes here, but these are not the only two earthquakes that have hit here. We have over 300 earthquakes every day that hit here in the Imperial Valley here. Over 300 earthquakes a day. The San Andreas Fault continues into Mexico here. And it continues down here into the Gulf of California here. This the San Andreas Fault goes through the Gulf of California, like it shows here. All the way through the Gulf of California, all the way down into southern Mexico here. Fact. Fact. The San Andreas Fault is going to transmit the energy from Washington, Oregon, and north and southwestern Canada all the way down here. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to get killed. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to be injured. Fact. Fact. That is why we are talking about it. This is the exact reason we're talking about it. Okay? I talk about this as often as I possibly can. That's why I'm monitoring activity on the eastern side of Los Angeles, or eastern side of the United States. Because we have earthquakes right now being caused by the Mid-Atlantic Fault. The expansion of the Mid-Atlantic Fault pushing the fault like this, opening it up, putting stress on the eastern side of Canada and the United States. A fact. This is a fact, guys. We can show you the information. We can prove it. The agency doesn't have to say it anymore. They can try to cover it up, but guess what? Ron Tyler is going to put the information out for as long as I possibly can. They may try to silence me. They did it on my last channel. The channel that you're watching this program on tonight is my second channel. The first one was taken offline. YouTube says it was hacked. YouTube said my Emergency Management Associates email was hacked. And my channel was hacked. Guess what? YouTube lied. Google joined with YouTube years ago. They are one company. My email was a Gmail account. I don't understand why they even said that my Gmail account was hacked. No, it was Google YouTube that took down my emergency management channel after 4 years. I've now established this channel about 6 or 8 weeks after the first channel went down. And I've been broadcasting again now for 1.5 years. A total of 5.5 years I've been on the air. Those of you that have been with me from the very beginning can prove what I've said. You have the information. I still do. I still have the information on my computer database. YouTube can't take that down. USGS cannot take it down either. I have survived and kept it. There's a reason. The agencies can deny it all they want, but I can prove that they are lying through their teeth. They are lying through their teeth now. Okay? It's been going on. Now, I've told you about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake, haven't I? What happens within 15 or 20 minutes after the earthquake happens? What happens after that earthquake hits? Right away, the water along the shoreline will leave the shoreline. Beaches will be left without water. Beaches along the west coast of North America will be left without water for about 15 or 20 minutes. After that 15 or 20 minutes goes by, the water that had receded back into the Pacific is also going to cause all kinds of havoc. The water is going to come back to the shoreline and devastate the shoreline. Fact. You can take that to the bank. There's going to be a tsunami, folks. There's going to be a major tsunami. Laura Marie just gave us another $10 super chat. Laura Marie, thank you so much for that. God bless you. I told you guys last night that Carol and I received a donation from Laura Marie and her husband John. They sent us a gift card. Thank you again for that $10 super chat now. God bless you, Laura. We love you and appreciate you guys so much. Folks, that earthquake is going to cause a tsunami. That tsunami is going to be anywhere from 50 foot high to 150 foot high. That water is going to come ashore. As the water goes through the streets between the buildings, the water is going to speed up through the narrow areas of Washington and Oregon and Canada. And when it goes through those narrow areas, the water is going to speed up and continue inland. What the earthquake does not destroy, the water will. The water is probably going to go 5 miles or more inland. No one knows exactly how long or how far. Scientists are now saying that the water is going to go at least 5 miles inland. The scientists have always been saying that the area just west of Interstate 5, west of Interstate 5 in Washington and Oregon, are going to be destroyed. Jamie Wilkie's asking what is going on and how soon, Ron. I'm telling you right now. I do not think that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to be any longer than 10 years away. I honestly believe that it's probably going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 5 years away. I don't think it will be much more than that. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Why am I telling you? Because I want you all to know what's happening. I want to be able to save your lives. The scientists are saying that it could be as much as 25 years away. Some scientists are saying 50 years. It's not going to be that far. We are already seeing earthquakes all up and down the coastline. And again, the USGS is denying it happens. They're only showing anywhere from a handful of minor tremors and quakes on the coastline. I have shown you a lot more than that. I've shown you seismograms showing you hundreds of earthquakes and tremors up and down the coastline. The United States Geological Survey and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network are not showing that. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network every day comes out with a tremor map showing tremors from 0.2 all the way up to 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. Sometimes they show 2 or 3 places where those earthquakes are. Other times they will only show one place, just like I showed you on Monday. They do not want to show you exactly what's going on. Frequently during the last 5 years, I show you a lot more seismograms than that. Show you exactly what's happening. That way you know of a surety what is happening. You need to know that. You need to know that. I'm encouraging each and every one of you to put together your own emergency preparedness plans. Everybody needs to know this. Yes, we have some trolls in here in the chat tonight. I have removed them from being here in the chat. I have reported them for harassment. Many times it's harassment. Many times they also put up false information. I remove it. I want everybody to know what's happening. Car's asking, what's Ron's website? My website was taken down by my last webmaster. She's denying it happened. I have access to that website, but a lot of information has been scrubbed from that website by that webmaster. I'm going to put that website back up. What I'm showing you now on this channel, it's accurate information. I showed you seismograms last night in the Pacific Northwest. I showed you earthquakes last night, or not last night, but last week in Southern California. I continue providing you with the information. I provide you with the information so you can make your own plans, so you can see what's happening. If you didn't see the information up close and personal, you would say, oh, Ron doesn't know what he's talking about. But I show you the information. When USGS or the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network try to scrub it, I try to still come up with more websites and more seismograms to prove what's actually happening. Because the agencies are lying through their teeth. They are lying through their teeth. That's why I want all of you to subscribe to this channel. We have quite a few of you. We've had 16 of you who have, actually 17 of you who have joined this channel as members. Meaning members that have paid at least $1.99 a month, upwards of $2.99 and $3.99 a month to become members here to help us pay for the information that we have to gather. It takes money to put out this broadcast, I'm sorry to say. When I first started broadcasting 5 years ago, I did not think that this information would cost money. It does. I spend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours every day pulling information for all of you. It takes money to broadcast. When I first started broadcasting, I had a pretty good bandwidth. I've since had to come up with a 1 gigabyte bandwidth. That way I can broadcast this program. It costs money. I spend $175 a month for 1 gig of bandwidth. That way I can come up with the information for all of you and I can broadcast it to you. Now, besides earthquakes, I've also been talking about solar events on the sun. I get my information mostly from Mark Wages World here on YouTube. I get my information from several other sources, including Seeds, which is a solar website giving us data exactly what's going on in the sun. I also have data from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, the Solar Dynamic Observatory that is 1 million miles away from the sun, that is showing us video of solar events, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, even X-class flares. And yes, X-class flares are still happening. Why do you need to know that? Because these X-class flares are causing earthquakes. The plasma radiation coming from the sun comes over here to the earth like this. It envelopes the earth like this. Plasma radiation. Yesterday, and this is a good example, the United States of America and Canada and some parts of Mexico was hit head on by an X-class 2 flare. Hit head on by an X1, X2 class flare, just like this. Radio communications were hampered for most of the day. Ham radio communications, police, fire, and medical communications, air-to-ground aircraft, air traffic control to planes and jets and passenger planes in the air. NASA and Roscosmos ground control for the space station were hampered by the solar flare. The solar flares can cause all kinds of problems and they can make you sick. The plasma radiation can make you sick. And not just humans, animals as well. Cattle, goats, pigs, donkeys. elephants, llamas, chickens. They get sick, especially those animals that are out in the open. The radiation can harm their bodies as well as those of us that are out in the open. For those of us that are still in houses, some of that penetration from the radiation can penetrate the buildings we're in and can make you sick, can cause headaches. Yes, folks, that's what happens. It's a fact. It's a medical proven fact. Okay? It's a medical proven fact. That's why I try to bring you the information. Curiosity, in case you didn't realize it, Demon Catman had to remove your message from the chat. You cannot talk about other channels here in this chat. The only way I will allow that is if you talk to me previously before I go on the air to allow it. Okay? Yes, there are other channels here on YouTube and Rumble that put out pretty good information. Okay? They are good people. They are good people. They don't have all the information usually. They do have some of it. They do have some of it. Okay? Now, I'm not trying to block it, but in case someone was to put out a website that wasn't what it truly was supposed to be, that's happened a lot. That's one of the reasons I will not allow it to come on the air in my chat unless I have approved it. Okay? Unless I have approved it. Now, I've talked a lot. I came on the air just about 2 hours ago. Rob just put up our Proton Mail email site. I do not check that any longer. There was something that happened to that site, and I no longer put up the Proton email site. I have a Gmail site for email. rltnspdema@gmail.com. That is my only email site that I have up right now. Okay? You can send me emails. Those of you that have my telephone number and text message me also send me messages, and I will answer those as well. Okay? I want you to have the information because it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. Now, I was going to show you seismograms. I'm going to talk about them. Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana are mostly the states right alongside the center part of the New Madrid Fault. Okay? The New Madrid Fault goes all the way up to the Great Lakes, Indiana and Illinois. There are minor earthquakes up in those areas, Indiana and Illinois. Okay? Those areas have gotten hit by minor earthquakes. What's going to happen? What is going to happen? When the New Madrid Fault is getting pushed by the North American Fault, the Atlantic Plate is pushing the North American Plate like this. Okay? The Atlantic Plate is coming from the east and pushing on the North American Plate, the East Coast, like this. That pressure is coming over here to the New Madrid Fault. And we have energy coming from the West Coast also pushing on the west side of the New Madrid Fault as well. We also have seismic energy coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? All that energy is descending literally on the pneumatic fault. 2 or 3 years ago, all we were seeing were tremors. People asked me about the pneumatic fault all the time at that time. I said, until we have some seismic events we can talk about other than tremors, I don't see the point in it. About 1.5 years ago, the earthquakes started being more than tremors. We started seeing 2.0s, 2.5s, all up and down the pneumatic fault. Now we are seeing 3.0s, 3.5s, even up to 4.5 earthquakes up and down the pneumatic fault. In that area where Arkansas, Missouri, the center part of the pneumatic fault, going south. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, going up north to Oklahoma, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. Indiana and Illinois are seeing minor earthquakes, tremors and minor earthquakes. But down along the pneumatic fault to the south, again from Missouri south, are getting hit. Yes, they're getting hit with minor tremors. They're getting hit with minor earthquakes. They're also getting hit with 3.0, 3.5, and even upwards of 4.5 earthquakes. And we can prove it. We can prove it. I've shown you in the past, I'm only going to talk about it real quick right now. I've shown you Marktree, Arkansas. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes every day. Every day. South of there, Truman, Arkansas. Tyronza, Arkansas. All these earthquakes happening every day from morning until night. Every day. Small to moderate earthquakes every day. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas, getting hit with minor tremors and minor earthquakes. Little Rock, Arkansas. Ozark Folk Center, Arkansas, Central Arkansas. Ozark Folk Center had some decent seismic energy this afternoon. I want to show you what happened. Look at this, guys. This is the Ozark Folk Center today. This afternoon. The top of this seismogram here is 12 noon right here. It goes 15 minutes across here to the right side. Look at these earthquakes here. Again, the top and the bottom of this earthquake sequence were cut off. The top and the bottom of this earthquake sequence was cut off. This would show normally at least a 3.0 earthquake, but the top and the bottom were cut off. This is probably more like a 3.5 or larger earthquake here. How about this earthquake here? This earthquake here is at approximately 141 this afternoon. This shows at least a 3.0 earthquake. 3.0 earthquake here, 3.0 earthquake here. This is 1 p.m. over here on the black line. This would be about 1:10, 1:11 p.m. this afternoon. 1:12 p.m. this afternoon. This would be 1:40 p.m. this afternoon. 3.0 earthquake here, at least a 3.0, 3.2, 3.3 earthquake right here. This is a minor earthquake here. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. All this stuff right here are tremors. This is north central Arkansas, the Ozark Folk Center. The Ozark Folk Center, guys. Okay? If that's happening there, what else is going on? Marktree, Arkansas this morning. Look at this earthquake here, this earthquake sequence here. The top black line here is 12 midnight. The top black line here on the left is 12 midnight. The red line is 12:15 over here. Over this way. This is 12:10 a.m. here. Look at the tremors that started way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, this would be 12:19 a.m. this morning, right here. The tremors started early. The tremors build up here. They continue building up here. This is where we have a 2.0 minor earthquake here. That's where it started this morning. Then look at this. All this earthquake sequence here is at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake here. Marktree, Arkansas. This is along the fault zone. This is over on the western side of the Mississippi River, the west side of the New Madrid Fault. How about this earthquake sequence here? The same thing here. The top and the bottom of this earthquake sequence has been scrubbed off. Right here, just by itself, like it looks here. This would be at least a 3.0 earthquake. But how long did it happen? The major part of the earthquake here, it's called the primary earthquake. It started here. This is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes here, just a little over 3 minutes long. 3.5, 4.0 moderate earthquake here. How would you like to feel that? Having your dishes rattle or dishes fall out of the cupboards. Books and knickknacks falling off and breaking off on the floor. Dishes and plates on the table with food on them falling off the table. And other damage happening to your home, big cracks in the walls. That is what is happening up and down the entire fault zone. This just didn't happen on the Marktree, Arkansas area. It's happening up and down the fault zone. I can prove it. To the south, Tyronza, Arkansas. Tyronza, Arkansas here. Look at this. This is southern Arkansas. Up here early this morning, all we had here at midnight is microquakes. Then those microquakes started turning into 1.0 tremors. The 1.0 tremors continued until just after 2 a.m. when we had a 2.4, 2.5, or not 2.5, sorry, a 1.5, 1.7 tremor here. 1.5, 1.7 tremor here. 1.5, 1.7 tremor here. Over here, this is after 4:13 a.m. this morning. They grew. By 5:06 a.m. this morning, we had a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake right here. Yes, we had tremors as well, but the earthquakes got larger. Over here at just after 7 o'clock, 7:01 a.m. this morning, here's a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. At least. Possibly as much as a 2.8. Earthquakes over here to the right. This is after 6:44 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Very soon, right here, this is a 3.0 earthquake. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake here. These are small earthquakes. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. This is Tyronza, Arkansas, southern Arkansas. Guess what? That's not all, folks. There's more. There's a lot more. I want to show you Tennessee over on the eastern side of the New Madrid seismic zone. Okay? First off, Ebenezer, Tennessee. This is over on the eastern side of the New Madrid seismic zone, but this is close to the earthquake fault. Up here, this is after 2 o'clock this morning. 2:13 a.m. this morning. 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes hitting here between 2:13 and 2:14 a.m. this morning. Look at the other tremors hitting here the rest of the morning. Ebenezer, Tennessee. Well, guess what, folks? That's not all, folks. There's more. A lot more. Look what happened over in Ebenezer, Tennessee this afternoon. 12 noon up here on the top. Micro quakes and minor tremors, 1.0 tremors here. That continued here until about 1:50 a.m. or 1:50 p.m. this afternoon. The tremors increased. But what happened after 2:30 p.m. this afternoon? Look at these blue, black, green, and red lines here. 3.0 earthquakes happening after 2:30 p.m. this afternoon and lasting until at least 3:15 this afternoon. 3:15 here on the red line here on the left-hand side. Over here, this is 3:21 p.m. this afternoon. 3.0 earthquakes lasting for an hour and a half. Small earthquakes lasting an hour and a half here in Ebenezer, Tennessee. That's not all, folks. There's more. Let's go over to Tiptonville, Tennessee, at the Northwest Correctional Center in Tennessee. This is not that far east from the New Madrid fault. Look at the energy here. Yes, we're seeing a lot of tremors. We're also seeing minor earthquakes. Right here, this is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Close to a 3.0. Yes, we've seen 3.0 earthquakes here at Tiptonville, Tennessee. We have seen that here quite frequently. Okay? Tiptonville, Tennessee this afternoon. Look at this. Look at all this energy in Tiptonville, Tennessee this afternoon. Yes, this is minor earthquakes. This here is a 3.0 earthquake here, where you see my cursor here. This is a 3.0 small earthquake here. They had 4.0 earthquakes here just two weeks ago. Okay? Let me show you something else. Amarillo, Texas this morning. Amarillo, Texas this morning. Look at this right here. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. They cut off the top and they cut off the bottom down here. Right after that earthquake hit, they turned off the seismograph. They turned off the seismograph. Amarillo, Texas. This is over in northwestern Texas. 3 years ago, I moved here. I stopped in Amarillo, Texas at a very nice hotel. At a very nice hotel. That afternoon, about 3:30 in the afternoon, we had a 2.0 earthquake in Amarillo. I was standing near the desk in my room and the earth moved. the earth moved here in Amarillo, Texas. Now we are getting at least a 3.0 earthquake over here in northwestern Texas. But that's not all, folks. There's more. Let me show you what happened this afternoon in Amarillo. Look what happened this afternoon on this black line here. Again, they shut off the seismograph here. After this earthquake hit here at 12 noon, they shut off the seismograph from just before 12:01 p.m. this afternoon until 12:15 here. You're not seeing much else happen here. They turned down the seismograph the rest of the day. All we're seeing here are minor tremors. Very tiny tremors. 1.0, 1.1 tremors. After two 3.0 or larger earthquakes hit. One this morning, and one this afternoon. They turned them off, and then they turned down the seismographs, so the seismograph was not recording information here in Amarillo, Texas. Earthquakes just don't stop like they're showing here. They don't do that. Seismic energy continued, but it's not showing there because they turned off the seismograph. Turned it off or turned it down. Okay? I can show you earthquakes and tremors, Mineral, Virginia, Sumter, South Carolina, Scranton, South Carolina, Blacksburg, South Carolina this afternoon, Blacksburg, South Carolina this morning. Look at all this earthquake and tremor activity here. Yes, they had 2.5 and 3.0 earthquakes here in Blacksburg, South Carolina. Roland, North Carolina, just northeast of where I'm at this afternoon and this morning. Roper, North Carolina this morning. Look at this. I want to show you this earthquake just northeast of me. Roper, North Carolina. Look at this. This happened today. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It started at 10:35 this morning here on this blue line. Look at this. This lasted over almost 2 minutes. They cut off the bottom and cut off the top here. 3.5, 4.0 earthquake here in Roper, North Carolina. And that's not all. 7 minutes later, we had seismic energy happening again. Tremor activity building up to another 3.0, 3.5 earthquake here that continued over here just after 10:45 here. Earthquake started over here on the left, lasted about 30 seconds here, and then came over here and lasted another full minute. A minute and a half of 3.0, 3.5 activity. North Carolina, guys. North Carolina, along the coastline. Again, the mid-Atlantic fault pushing the North American plate east or west southwest. Okay? It's happening. It's happening. I wanted to show you that because it's real. It is very real. Does anyone have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Demon Catman is still here in the east of England. It's the middle of the night in England. Dean, I so love and appreciate you, brother. You're awesome. Thanks for all your help, and thanks for what you're doing. God bless you. God bless you. There are many other people from England that are watching this program tonight. I've seen many of you check in near the beginning of the program and throughout the program. I appreciate you all. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've shown you? I know I've shown you a lot of information, but I thought it was absolutely necessary to show you. Does anybody have any questions for me? Demon Catman says it's 2:57 in the morning. Dean, I greatly appreciate all you do for us. I greatly appreciate all you do for us. Fantasy Dog, we appreciate you being here. Fantasy Dog says he lives the power grid away. Not surprising. I appreciate you too. I appreciate all of your support. Folks, please support us. We need the support to keep the bills paid here and stay on the air. Okay? We appreciate your support. Again, you can go to PayPal and send us donations to PayPal. You can send us donations to Cash App. You can also send us donations to our post box. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. I love and appreciate you so much. Gerasi says she saw a video mentioning magma movement under the New Mexico area. Yes, there are. There are volcanoes in New Mexico and Texas. That's why you're seeing magma movement. That's why you're seeing magma movement. Sweet Polly Purebred just gave us another $4 super chat. Thanks so much, Polly, for that. God bless you for that. Folks, I love each and every one of you. I really do. I have the greatest admiration and respect for each one of you. Folks, I'd like to leave you with a thought, as I do every time we come to the end of the program. We've been doing this for like 3 years. Prior to that, it was off and on. But I've been doing spiritual thoughts at the end of the program for the last 3 years. Folks, I want to leave you with a thought here. This comes from 1 Timothy chapter 6. This is Paul talking to his friend Timothy. He considered Timothy a brother. In chapter 6, verse 8, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Preparedness, brothers and sisters, preparedness. Even back then. And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. Are we prepared? Are we putting food in our pantries to last us for a while? Could be a long while. When the stores don't have the food on the shelves, and it's happening again. It's happening again. Verse 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into much foolishness and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveteth after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of God, flee these things, and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Fight the good fight. Fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. Fight the good fight. Doesn't that just fall right with what we've been talking about all night long? Get prepared, brothers and sisters. Things are getting worse by the minute. Things are getting worse by the minute. Don, Rob, Demon Catman, NCWQ, Disaster News and Explorer, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you ever so much. We appreciate all of our mods. God bless you all. God bless our EMA family that's been here in the chat and that's also been watching this program silently, not contributing in the chat. We would love to have you contribute in the chat as well. We love each and every one of you. We appreciate you being here because you can pass this information on to your families, your extended families, your neighbors and your friends, your social media contacts, and even the people you work with. Please pass this information on. Also ask people to join our channel here. Ask people to subscribe and join our channel. Hit the subscribe button, and when you do that, hit also the little bell. There's a little bell icon. After you click on that little bell icon, click on the word ALL. There'll be a drop-down menu that shows up that will show 3 items. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. Please also join as a member of the EMA family here. Tomorrow, I'm hoping late tomorrow morning, we're going to do a members-only broadcast. I've been telling you for a week we're going to do it, and because things came up, we didn't do it. I'm hoping to be on the air tomorrow late morning to talk about Emergency Management Associates and all of you. Please join this channel and contribute. We'd greatly appreciate it. Folks, it's getting late. It's now 10 o'clock Eastern Time. I started this program just after 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Now we're going on nearly 3 hours. I'm sorry about that. I had a lot of things to discuss with you, to share with you, to save your lives. God be with you. God bless you. Demon Catman, thank you for the blessing for my wife and I. Carol is a wonderful member of our family. She's a mod here on this channel as well. She's my wife. She contributes to help me. She makes good meals for me. She reminds me of things I need to talk about. She reminds me of things I need to do to get here on the air. I love and appreciate my dear wife. She contributes to my personal family. She contributes to our children. She contributes to this channel, and I greatly love her. Demon Catman says, Team Tyler. You all are Team Tyler. Each and every one of you are Team Tyler. I love you so very much. God be with you this day and always. We're going to be back on the air tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow at late morning with a members-only meeting, and after that, another meeting of the emergency broadcast system here after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us then. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, invite everybody that you know to come join this channel, to subscribe and be part of the EMA family. God bless you, and God be with you until we meet again. We will see you later, guys. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. God bless. See you soon. Good night, everybody. Much love.